Attention, passengers. This is your co-pilot speaking. Your pilot is black-minded, so you are not going blind and there is no power failure. You are merely experiencing the immense blackness of his proximity, and when you hear his voice, you and the cabin will get even darker than you are currently. We will be cruising at the speed equal to light because the one other thing that travels equally fast is darkness. Your loved ones awaiting your arrival may not recognize you at first sight. This is normal. Simply tell them about the pilot and they will understand. We will taxi to the runway now, so please buckle up and prepare for a high-speed takeoff. Thank you for choosing Jet Black Airways, where the phrase jet black is also a verb. We hope you keep jetting black with us until the wings and the wheels fall off. Justice forever.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to some of you, and peace out to the rest of you. Hit the share button because the message is more important than the messenger. First, let me give shouts out to MLR for coming through in the Cash App. I mean that from the bottom of my black heart and from the depths of my black mind. Shouts out also to all the Black Treon subscribers. The last two being Elijah and Al X. I have translated your names, but you know who you are. Thank you from the bottom of my black heart and from the depths of my black mind. So in Gambia alone, there have been 4, 5, or 6 deaths of diasporan black women in a few months. Just yesterday, I sat with a black Saudi man who's from Mecca, I believe. He told me that he is looking for a second wife, but he is not about to consider at all a European woman. Good. We ain't doing that mess. By the way, this is a brother that studied in Maryland. Anyway, he said this, and it's already understood that we don't mess around and consider American women or Canadian women. So that's why he didn't say them and throw them in. In general, Western women just don't stand a chance with us at all. We leave them alone because they want their space and they have the boundaries of which one approach is a serious violation. Now, from sitting with this brother, I learned some interesting information and some good news too, and this will be available on my Black Treon, inshallah. Now, you can get that upload when I finish recording, editing, and uploading it on Black Treon if you're subscribed. If you want just that video alone, then I'll place it on Odyssey for pay, but I mean, that's going to be half the cost of the Black Treon subscription. It's not there right now because I'm still going to have to record it, edit, and upload. So getting back to the topic, this brother told me he was interested in marrying a woman from a different culture, one that could also speak English, but not a European woman. Now, I'm telling you what he said for a reason. Bear with me. I plan to land this, this jet black aircraft one way or another. In Gambia, someone has gotten tired of the attitudes of the Western women, obviously. In Angola, you can ask Senor Kanga about these women, and it isn't just in the capital either. It's throughout. I already had to deal with this in Namibian women. This baddie struck me in my head for something a singer said in one of his songs back in the 90s. She was just a nasty bitch and may Allah curse her, and I mean that, even if she became Muslim later on in life, because we already know that feminists and misandrists don't change overnight when they accept Islam. They try to bring it into Islam with them. We already heard about how South African women are choosing Nigerian men, but are chasing South African men away to Cape Verde. And then the men from Cape Verde are telling us how the city women are a problem, but the rural women aren't quite lost yet. The Somali men in the diaspora are being chased away by Somali women in the diaspora, but they're not returning to the homeland because they don't have a reason to. The Somali diasporan women have told them that the only reason that the homeland women would ever want them maybe is because they've got passports with more access to other countries and they can maybe take them out of Somalia to these other countries. And see, this is what's cracking me up about that. The Somali women back in the homeland aren't saying these things necessarily. Sometimes they are. See, Somalia isn't unlivable to people who are already there and have adjusted to it. The fighting comes and goes in different parts at different times. So the nation as a whole is livable generally, if you know the departments and the bureaucracies. The women that want to leave Somalia are either more religious and they want to live somewhere stricter like the GCC, or they want to practice the religion at its basics without the contradictions of Somali culture, and they prefer to go to places like Indonesia or Malaysia. Or the third option is that they want to go to some place where they are socially free to become anything like Rhoda Osman or just a run-of-the-mill feminist slur, even if it's not quite like Rhoda. Those are the three reasons. In any case, I'm telling you that they won't get the same thing they will get by marrying. I'm talking about the Somali diasporan men will not get the same things they will get by marrying Moroccan women. Now, what I'm saying to you is that the attitude of the women in the Somali homeland, without the feminism and the misandry, that attitude that they have just at the baseline level of their own culture is enough to drive away the Somali diasporan men. So they're going to get more by marrying Moroccan women. And the other thing is that Morocco is an easier and less expensive flight to take from the UK or Scandinavia, any parts of Europe, than it would ever be to fly to Black Africa. Once you fly over the Sahara and the Sahel, the ticket costs go up from Europe. There might be a way to get around it, but I'm not sure what it is. So it's an easy decision to make. And the other thing is that since the Somalis aren't known for wealth, then they don't automatically get charged twice the price for everything like I would be once we're there in Morocco. I was with my wife at times and they still wouldn't tell us the correct price. They thought she was stupid for wearing the niqab and that I didn't know any better for being from abroad. So they were not going to tell us the real prices of things if they weren't already pre-published. But, as a Somali, they may not have to go through that. Certain parts of Nigeria are ruled by materialism, and frankly, many parts of Africa have women that demand unrealistic physical perfection and financial success from men, no matter how unrealistic they are. Just like American sisters are beginning to admit nowadays, these women back on the continent that are in these pockets where it's like that will demand these things that are not realistic, but then they don't demand the same of a white colonizer's grandson. Africa's too big for it all to be one way, but those parts are not always contiguous to each other either. The other thing is that Africa isn't all jungle, so why are these women not living in jungles demanding that a man be fit enough to live alone in the jungle and defeat a leopard while half asleep and only armed with a shield and a spear? They're looking for Superman. What the cuss word? Provide for her, and she demands all kinds of luxury. But then a backpacker from Europe with 50 euros in his pocket can come and pair that tussie up and shoot the club up without giving her a euro. Because, to him, all African women have a BBL. It's a fetish with a lot of them. They don't realize, a lot of sisters do realize this. What I'm getting at is that the world knows that Western women are nasty AF, and Western women are learning that this is their reputation. Additionally, Black women are learning that Black women aren't the first choice of many non-Black men. We like them, but other men don't. Now, guess who loses out automatically in last place because of this? That was not a question that I just said. That was a command. Not that you have to obey it, but what I'm saying is that if I were to write that out, I would write that sentence with a full stop at the end, not a question mark. Guess who it is? The Western Black woman comes in last. She has the melanin count, nose, lips, and hair of the race that other men want the least, and the attitude of the region that other men want the least and cannot stand in a woman, all rolled into one with the best of nothing, as far as the other men are concerned. Meanwhile, we, because we like the way that they look, will tolerate the attitude. She might have a BBL and that's not hers either, nor can she contain her attitude when she buys that BBL. She can't be faithful, and if she is, she has to lie to her friends about cheating on you because they'll ridicule her for being faithful. So what does she bring in the long run? The only value is below the belt, and we already know if a woman is even decent looking, she will refuse to realize that value too, unless you're a rapper. Or unless she's married to the guy she's going to tell no, and you're the side dude, and she'll tell yes. It's one of the reasons why more and more Western men are saying, if I cannot leave, then I might as well be the side dude. Everyone can see it. They look at the black woman at all and they don't see their type. I'm talking at all, just race. Forget nationality. They look at the black woman, they don't see their type. But they look at the Western black woman and they don't see even any internal value, tangible or intangible. As the conversation continues, it becomes more and more obvious. While black men are being sought out for sex, romance, and marriage. Now, maybe white women who are escorts might not want black customers, but women of color are now checking for us, and we tend to like that anyway. We have a reputation for being more romantic, not only in the West, but even here in Arabic-speaking countries. Then we're known for better physiques with less gym time, and we're seen as more masculine in general, to the point that even here in Saudi, we're not associated with booty banditry. And then they hear about how sometimes some wives find a few bonus inches of dingling on the wedding night. Now, I mention this for a reason, not the dinging. I'm talking about all of this. What I'm saying is that women around the world are beginning to see us as more valuable. It is not necessarily true that because of black American men and looking at black men in general as being more valuable, they tend to see black men as being more valuable. So it's not based only on one nationality. And women do have different preferences for different nationalities of men. That is also the case. There are those who, they're non-black women who prefer Nigerian men because of the sense of responsibility. They don't know that the trifling ones are back in Nigeria, that's all. There are women that prefer the American man. There are women that prefer Jamaican men. And that's a country of 2 million people, I think. Some women find a particular culture of black men that they did not know about, like maybe Liberian men, and then they start wanting to hang around with Liberians. And those are the men they want because of the balance in between different cultures that Liberians have. So you see, I love being FBA, but that black part in there, well, yeah, that's the crown. But the reason that I'm mentioning all of this is because of the apology tour, of which Accountability Commentary has made us aware, many of us. And I want to shout you out and thank you for that, AC. I learned about this apology tour from you. Thank you, bro. I mean, there was one a few months ago, I think maybe about a year ago, but I don't think this is the same one. I think it's a different apology tour. In any case, now that we're aware of this, let me tell you why it is that we cannot accept these apologies. We cannot go back to the table unless you're just going to listen to them and get up and walk back off. Okay, what do you want to tell me? And then when they done talking, you say, you done? Yeah. What do you say? Tip your head to them, push your chair back from the table, get up, walk off. Thanks for the information, ma'am. Close the door. That's the extent to which we can go. They want us back at the table, but still not for the right reasons. You know how when you screw up with a woman and she's nice to look at and you didn't even do anything really serious, she just changed her mind and you can't go back? It's the same thing. You have to be that way with them. It's not hatred. It just has to be that there must be some justice. One of the signs by which we can tell that we should not take these apologies seriously is the age of the apologizers. Now, I'm saying this as a man that actually likes women of middle age, you could say. MILFs are my type. I don't necessarily see an old man in the mirror, but I'm aware of my age. My back is hurting me right now. MILFs are my type because I see myself as being roughly the same age. And even with the aches and the joints and things like that, my wife is going to have a hard time keeping up. She might even ask me to get another wife. And my answer is going to be, nope, you're going to handle all of this horse meat by yourself. I'm not willing to spend money on anybody else. You've earned that. So if you need some help, you're going to have to find somebody that looks comparable to you. And you're going to have to tell her what we make. and that's what she's gonna get her. That's what we're gonna live off of. So you go find her. In the meantime, grab that lube and open up. Sometimes I have to say to her, sometimes I'll have to tell her when we're done, don't go straight to the shower and wash up. Give it a few minutes. Then after the second round, you can go and wash up. I have to tell her that. This is at my age. But as a guy that actually likes that type of age group, I'm telling you, Western sisters, while bragging about how black don't crack and age ain't nothing but a number, well, the funny thing is that when you actually prefer that age, then they don't prefer you. So I know that a lot of their concerns about age and age limits and taboos and things like that are horse fit. I'm aware of that. It's a big joke to them. Well, I shouldn't say a joke, but you see what I'm saying is that it shows that they still have this tendency. They still have a tendency to take whatever it is that a man likes and try to withhold it. They haven't lost that yet. Crimson Cure talked about that tendency they have. And they're not losing that. The next reason is that they are missing certain confessions in their apologies. And the confessions that I can remember right now that are necessary but are not there are conspiracy. They collectively conspired to mass deceive us and to gaslight us and to practice a dysgenic dual mating strategy. Not just dual mating, but dysgenic. But it was a conspiracy. All these other things I mentioned, the deception, the gaslighting, which is deception, the dysgenic dual mating strategy, which is deception, the paternity fraud, not even description, but a discrepancy, but fraud. All of these things are the things to which they need to confess. Yes, this is what we did, and we were all in. Well, almost all of us were in on it, and we were. The rest of us were against the ones that were not in on it, and we silenced them and terrorized them. They better not say nothing, and we hid this even from our own sons. So, if you were a failure with women, it was never even your fault to begin with, black man. They have not confessed to this. That's missing. So it's not a real apology. The other thing that tells us we should not accept is that they have apologized for how we feel about it versus for what the F they did. There's no reason to apologize for how we feel per se. I mean, there is that's a part of it, but it's for a reason. The substance behind how we feel is foot the walk you did. You know what you did, the conspiracy, the mass deception, gaslighting, dysgenic dual mating strategy, all the stuff I mentioned. Yeah, that's the stuff you did that. That was on you. You did that. You were wrong. So you're apologizing for how we feel about you being wrong. No, you apologize because you chose wrong. And then lastly, they're not telling young women to value us while they're young. They're still trying to justify the ways that young broads act. Well, when we're young, no, bitch. When you reach puberty, you are morally an adult. You are as accountable for your decisions after you got a little grass on the field and a little blood coming out. You are morally accountable. Now, financially speaking, the system did not allow you to be an adult, and legally you were not. So we're not saying that you're accountable for that. But for your moral decisions you made past that point, just like for us past puberty, we're morally accountable. Same thing for you. We got to apologize. You must also apologize. And you really cannot apologize just by saying, I'm sorry. No, you did some stuff. Now you're going to have to do some stuff to get past that. And that means you're going to have to go to the young broads and say to them, we lied to y'all. We lied to you because we didn't like the results we got from this and we didn't want you to get better. So we told you to do wrong. No, value these men while you are young and they're young. We're not saying you got to be boy crazy, but we are saying that your natural inclination to value and appreciate men as a heterosexual woman is normal. Don't let it rule you, but don't completely go against it either in the name of pride, of being conceited, of being a strong, independent black woman that don't need no man for nothing. No, you're not telling this. You're catering to the foolishness. Well, you're young right now, and I know right now you want to do this, but no, shuck that fit. Bitch, I taught you wrong. Bitch, I lied to you. Actually, you can't even say, you have to say, I'm a lying bitch, and I lied to you. Then you don't deserve that. So here's a proof. KROOF, proof. If we accept their apologies to the extent that we might have a peaceful understanding with the individuals that apologized, then I don't know how wise or smart that will be in the long run. It's fair, but it may be a losing strategy. I'm not sure. I'll leave that to you. However, many of you listening to these apologies are not inclined to trust them anyway that much, and I can't knock that. I'm still on the fence. I mean, I don't want to sit up and say, I don't want to turn around and kick someone in their chest when they're apologizing, but I still don't trust it. However, we collectively, indisputably cannot take their apology to the extent that we accept them back under terms they might even find acceptable. Pretty much, if they're not willing to be the second, third, or fourth wives who don't even demand equal treatment as the first wives, or concubines, then they aren't apologizing enough. If they aren't willing to admit that they deserve less, then they haven't learned their lesson. Now, some would say, well, black mind, why so harsh? But the answer is that even if they were victimized by some trifling or abusive dudes, they chose these dudes and rewarded these dudes sexually for being as they were. We already know that in the 80s and 90s, they had options to go to more responsible single dudes that would have gladly rescued them. Most of us were those guys. We were taught to be. Instead, they chose to stay with the abusive dudes about whom they're now complaining to us, even in their apologies. No, if I apologize to women, I have to explain this is what some other women did, and this is how they mistaught me and outright lied to me and deceived me, and they did it intentionally. That's why I did it. I have the right to do that. Not them. You have the right to do that, gentlemen, if you choose to apologize. They don't. What's the reason? Simple. They had the options, not dudes. Now, we can brag about being the man, but for the most part, they had the options and not us. So that double standard to their disfavor is valid. We chose wrong. It's because they collectively and cooperatively limited all choices to wrong choices. They chose wrong. It's because they wanted wrong. We didn't limit their choices like we should have. If we accept their apology, it will only send the wrong message to the young girls who are still young enough to be innocent, but old enough to question and learn patterns. It will send to these young girls the message that if they also give in to their vanity while they're young and obey that ego and that conceit, then they can just wait until they age out of the game to apologize to the dudes they were trying to keep in their back pockets anyway, which is most of us. It just teaches them that, well, you just have to pretend a little more to get away with all the things that I just mentioned to you they didn't confess in the apologies we already heard. It just teaches them that they can realize that 403 retirement plan if they just pretend a little more and feign remorse later on. No, bitch, you pre-planned this. If you get to, I'm telling you, young girls listening, if you're listening to this now, by the time you hear this, you'll probably be old enough. But I'm telling you now, as I record this in 2024, if you are thinking that when you get older, you get a chance to apologize to the men that you want to come and take care of you in your old age, when you're tired of working, that means you premeditated this and your apology's fake. I'm telling you now, you can't do that later on and have a sincere apology. Back to you, gentlemen. Not only will the women apologizing lose respect if we accepted that, let alone if we took them back, but they would then tell the young girls that we aren't even worth respecting. The integrity of the looks of the race was never these sisters' concerns. We've been more concerned about the way that the black race would appear in the future, how original we would appear than the women have been. That's why we give that dark South Indian or Sri Lankan a chance, or pursue the Afro-Latino or the dark Southeast Asian from Cambodia. And why many of us even considered Africa the Black Caribbean first. Even I, when I did not know that my current wife had ever noticed me. and I was going to be looking in Southeast Asia, I was going to be looking for the dark ones. And I knew that was going to be easy because most of the men would not look to them. So I would have been like, look, no, introduce me to that Morena Muslim over there. And for me, it would have been even easier because for me, like I said, I like MILFs. I could have gone to Malaysia and said, hold up, she looks like she's close to 40. I think her husband passed away and she's dark. Is her brother or dad still around? I can talk to them. The three of us talk at the same time. What's up? Would have been easy. We have considered the high melanin count women first. It has been the sisters with the fist in the air that have been trying to breed not only the same admixture for which they distrust women and negatively stereotype men, but they have been trying to breed us specifically with the most European mayonnaise colonizer kidnapper. And then they say to us, now that they're coming out more boldly and brazenly with that, they'll turn and say, well, if we're going to mix, doesn't it make sense we pick the men who won? Wyatt civilization didn't win a damn thing without cheating, though. How you going to call it a win if everybody knows you cheated? Well, they won Africa. They never openly declared war on it. They undermined it in ways that nobody had done to them. And these sistren are telling us that cheaters are better than honest civilizations. And they have been mating accordingly within and without the race, which is why Thuggo, Felon, Tattoo, Uzi, that's why these cats become the actual biological dads. And then we're expected to be the stepdads. And if we refuse, then they want to jump the fence to Zaddy. That's what the reason is. One way or another, there has got to be a dude that's got something wrong and makes the wrong moral choices in life. Even if they find you attractive, but you've made moral and responsible choices in life, you become unattractive to them just because of that. And they don't even want to admit it. But look at who they will choose. They jump over you not only if you're light skinned, they jump over you if you just ain't a stereotype. Thuggo, Zaddy, mayonnaise. There ain't no in between with them. They were the traitors all along. Don't trust their apology because of that. Trusting a traitor will cause you to have to apologize to those who never betrayed you in the beginning. If you accept the apology of a traitor, that's one thing. But if you trust a traitor, you will then later on have to apologize to the loyal. And the loyal may not be able to trust your apology either, having seen you as a traitor, and that would only make them wise. So don't do what darkness is. Study their apologies, but do not accept them because you cannot trust them. I hope that what I've said has been a benefit. Thank you for listening. And as always, black heart, black mind, blackout, assalamu alaikum, black heterosexual, non-select male power just because they don't like it, black patriarchy until extinction or judgment day. Thank you for flying again with us here on Jet Black Airways, where jet black is also a verb. Keep jetting black with us until the wings and the wheels fall off. And yes, as we dock at this gate, I advise you to go and click on the link for the merchandise. Pick up a t-shirt, something. And if you have something left over after that, then feel free to punch the Cash App button with numbers in it that will not cause you any regret later on. Shouts out to those who have already done so, like MLR, as I mentioned. Gender, justice, forever.